Boom.
We are back. Another episode of the Wolves Only podcast powered by JWX. And today we are, we have a really cool guest here today.
I appreciate that, man.
Kai.
No one's ever called me cool before.
Oh, well, now you're making me second guess myself. If you guys cannot tell by his accent, Kai Daley is from Texas.
Yep, born and bred Texas, 100%. Lots of beef, big place.
All right.
Everything bigger comes from Texas.
Yeah. Well, that's actually, you almost disguised yourself as a Texan right there.
I probably could. I mean, in all reality, I've been here long enough to be able to get a good accent going.
You know, I love it. I love when like British people and people from like other, like do like their American accent and they crush it.
Oh, but you have to understand why.
First tell me why, and then I got to hear your best American accent. But first tell me why.
Man. Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to preference my American accents like a Valley white girl.
Okay.
But the reason why, we watch so much American TV. Australia is incredibly Americanized, especially when it comes to media. We watch everything, our music, everything is all pretty much from America. So when you go all around the world, you'll find American influence pretty much anywhere you go. So It's one of the most, I suppose, iconic accents that a lot of people do mimic. So,
okay.
Yep.
Because we don't even think we have an accent. Let me hear your U.S. accent.
Well, like, what do you want me to say? Give me a phrase. Give me something.
Just let us know that we're back at the Wolves Only podcast, powered by JWX.
We're back at the Wolves Only podcast, baby. Let's fucking go, baby.
That's good. That's good.
It's not too bad.
No, I like your standard Australian accent better.
Yeah, me too. It definitely gets more likes, that's for sure.
Yes. That's great. So you are a U.S. citizen at this point.
Well, I wouldn't say citizen. They call me a resident alien.
Oh.
Yeah, so still from outer space. Still don't really have a place here, but, it is what it is. Got my green card last year, which was pretty cool. I otherwise was living here as a non-resident alien, which means that you're essentially someone who's just existing here in the country, freeloading off tax.
So even though you were married to an American, there's still
Yeah, well, I mean, like you can get married to an American, but then you still have to go through a process of obtaining a green card,
I see.
Which is obviously proving that the marriage is legitimate, because a lot of people try and,
I got a buddy who's made a career out of marrying wealthy like doctors from like Columbia and.
Obviously, I'm not a wealthy doctor, but, it's one of those things. It's like, obviously coming to this country, I was already previously married once before that to an Australian. We came here together.
Okay.
And when I was here, we got divorced, and then I met, my American wife, and we obviously got married, and that's how the green card came about.
I see.
Yeah, but
it definitely does make it easier, but it's not like just like your ticket in.
No, absolutely not. Like a lot of people think that like you get married, it's good to go. No, you've still got to jump through some pretty serious hoops and spend some serious money.
I'm actually right now, we have one of our coaches. I'm not going to say who until it's all said and done, but I'm working with him to get into the States.
Yeah.
He's coming from Canada.
Okay.
And so he wants to move his whole family here to Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, whatever I got to do.
Yeah, dude, it's one of those things that like coming from Canada probably should be realistically a little bit easier, but they have to go through the same process.
No, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think like this guy owns his own business. He's successful. He's a great dude. He helps a ton of people. And, it's really tough. But then people just get here and they just walk in. And I don't want to go so much into the politics of immigration.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in really all of because the next thing you know, dude, you're going to get the most like just toxic people in the comments.
I mean, that's a really touchy subject, because so many people say to me, why don't you just go to Mexico and then walk across the border? And it's like, I don't think it works like that.
Oh, yeah.
I really don't think it works like that. So, yeah, no, it's good to go through the right channels. Obviously, that way you're set. I've got to I'm currently in the process of renewing my green card now for the next 10 years, and then I can apply for permanent residency after that. Yeah, but the whole process is pretty whack. Like, the whole time you're in the process of getting your green card, you're literally locked into the country. You cannot leave until they give you the green card. So, the unfortunate thing is during that process, both my grandma and my grandfather passed away in Australia. and couldn't go home.
Back.
I haven't been able to be home for 7 years up until this past Christmas.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's been tough, but at the same time, like you've got to look at it as what's life, what's life to you.
So where were you, like in Sydney, or where were you?
No. I was in Brisbane predominantly for majority of my life, which is the capital city of Queensland. Went to high school there, but I traveled around a lot. Up north in Queensland, a little place called Rockhampton, which is the beef capital or meth capital of Australia.
Oh, beef or meth?
Whichever one you want to get into.
Okay.
But I spent a lot of time there. That's where I really got back into the fitness industry after, working some time in horticulture and landscaping and hardscaping, machine work and stuff like that. But from there, that's where I came over to the States.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Brisbane.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Jackson from?
Jackson Tippett? He's on the Gold Coast.
Gold Coast.
Yeah, he's on the Goldie.
It's pretty beautiful place right there.
That's an hour south from Brisbane. Okay. And it is honestly the closest thing to California that you will find in Australia for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
They all seem like Cali boys,
Well, yeah, just with funny voices.
Right.
Everyone in the Gold Coast is pretty much like fully California, but just in Australia.
I see.
Yeah.
I love it. So as a child growing up there, obviously your parents and everything, what did your parents do? This is not interesting question, but I just I like to know like how Americanized is it, or how similar are our worlds? Because other than like the toilet water going the opposite direction. Is that a truth?
I don't know, man. I've never really.
I don't even know which direction the toilet water goes.
Toilets are definitely different in Australia. I don't understand why the whole toilet thing here is like a fucking pool rather than just a little bit of water in the bottom. There's nothing fun about like dropping into that big pool of water and having huge
we drop deuces.
Yeah, but like then there's that big splashback that comes after. It's like a tidal wave.
Jesus, man.
But in Australia,
fucking shits are you taking?
I eat a lot of protein. Okay.
Yeah.
But like the normal toilet in Australia, they've just got a like small little bit of water in the bottom. But I don't know. That's the only real difference I can see.
I see.
Yep.
Okay, because they say that they spin the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And that's not interesting either.
No.
So growing up,
it was just a normal growing up for me. Like my mum and dad worked super hard. I actually predominantly grew up in and around my grandparents from what I can remember mostly. From ages 1 through 6, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. Every school holidays, vacations like Easter, Christmas, middle of the year, I'd be spending that with my granddad, fishing, camping, doing all that type of stuff. When I was at school, obviously I was at home, but mum and dad worked really hard. So they were always busy. My dad's work ethic is fucking insane like that. Nobody works harder than that man. He's still working now, and he's about to turn 70, building his own house again, for the 45th fucking time that my mum hates. But, it is what it is. I come from just a standard blue collar family where my dad was very successful in the air conditioning industry. Went to an all boys private school, was very blessed to have that. Not that I took advantage of it. Pretty much like same as, man, like just kids growing up playing sport, doing things.
Yeah.
Private school was definitely something that was a shitty part of growing up for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hated it, man. I hated it, especially all boys. That was terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty gay.
Yeah, definitely gay. We should have seen the outfit.
Oh.
It was even worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the socks?
Knee-high socks.
Yay.
Knee-high socks, leather shoes, a bright snot green shirt with a green and black tie, and caveat, straw hat.
You had to wear a straw hat?
A fucking straw hat.
Bunch of boys in straw hats with knee-high socks.
Slapping asses, it was fucking terrible.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty gay.
Yeah, it was super gay.
But you turned out okay.
I hope so.
Well, I mean, from my perception, it seems like you did all right. I mean, I don't know what went on with you in all boys private school and what you guys did in the tiny hats. But you seem to have done pretty well. And now, I want to, I want to kind of get into a little bit of the fitness journey and stuff like that, but here in just a little bit, because last night we had a really cool call where we talked about leadership.
Yeah.
Okay. And you grew up with like you said, a very hardworking family. And you got into the world of the fitness industry, right? And you have a pretty long rap sheet.
Yeah. You could say that.
But now you're really going after coaching.
Yeah.
Which is like, the ultimate, in my opinion, one of the ultimate forms of leadership, right?
I would agree, yeah.
I'm reading this book, and it's a series of 2 books called I Am Leader. The first book is called I Am, and the second book is called Leader. It's pretty ambiguous.
Yeah.
And there's a number of things that's being brought up in this book, and as I get further and further into it, it really dives into a number of things. But the first thing is it talks about belief system. And I think a lot of people, and it's not that I think, I know that a lot of people go from being young and like the world is your oyster, right?
Yeah. Well,
like anything's possible. You
anything
can be
is possible.
you can be an astronaut, you can be a fucking pirate, you can be whatever you want to be.
Well, we talked about it last night, like nobody was ever born who they are today. And I think that's so evident. Like you look at any professional athlete, they may have had a gift, but they didn't know that they had that gift until it was discovered from their own actions. And at the end of the day, it goes to say for anybody else who wants to go and do anything that they want, it's going to take some type of action to put it forward. Right. I didn't know that I wanted to be a fitness coach. I was a fat kid in high school that got bullied every day.
Oh, shit.
It was fucking terrible. Like, there's no way that I would have seen my life here when I was in high school.
Right.
No fucking way possible.
But you did the opposite of what most people do. Right? You challenged the norm.
No.
What you were probably, private school, hardworking parents.
Yep.
What'd be next? Go to university.
Well, it's funny, dude, because like when I went to private school, even when I was in like junior school, so years 1 to 7, not that I ever went to year 1, that's probably what's wrong with me, missed finger painting. So that's, something that's very crucially important for the brain.
Yep. Sharing finger painting.
Yes. So, going through primary school, I was definitely like the troublemaker, always kind of seeking attention from teachers, from other kids in the class, just trying to, be the center of attention. My mum was always like, you need to be on stage somewhere, because this is just too much. You have too much energy. You're always needing to be the center of attention. You need to go and be in drama class or be on stage. And it was like, shut up. That's gay. I didn't want to do it. I really didn't want to do it. I was like, no. But it's funny, like coming into year 7, I had such a huge confidence beat down because I was really sheltered in respect to the fact that like when I first got into high school, after I finished junior school, like I was the student council year 7, I was house captain for my sporting side of things. My speech to get house captain was vote for me. That was it.
Nice.
And won. And, like I had a lot of confidence in that aspect of my life at, 12 years old. Coming into high school was the complete opposite because I sat down with kids that were very much more developed than me. I was super young, even through to year 12, dude. I looked like I was 13 years old. I had no like development as a man at any point all through high school. So going into that, sitting with kids at lunch that had super deep voices, facial hair, muscles bulging. I'm just sitting there like this little fat innocent kid that didn't know anything. And all these people are talking about how much weed they smoked on the weekend, how much alcohol they were going to drink on the weekend. Like it was gnarly walking from so much innocence and thinking this is what the world was like going into that. So it put me into like a real big, I need to take a step back here. Like my brother was one of the more popular kids in high school and he was 3 grades above me. And trying to live up to that expectation without confidence was a massive, massive problem. So I put myself into a shell between the years of 8 all the way through to 12.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which you said too, and like this is like high school, you know, is really where a lot of people like set the pace for their confidence, for, you know, ultimately kind of what they would carry in until they get beat down, you know, enough times to where, you know, they're like life happens so much to where it's like you either accept societal norms or you carry on with being, because the rebel, the outgoing guy, the guy that needs the attention, the guy with the confidence, the guy with all of that, it's something that, you know, I do believe is instilled in you. It's not something that you're born with, but over time, right? And then you get to a certain age and you have to go out of your way to be that guy.
Yeah.
To be the confident person, which confidence and decision making, I believe, go hand in hand. And it's funny because like people are so indecisive, so unconfident, and it's like, you know why life beat them down over and over again. They were to them, right? Yeah. In their eyes, not that they're victims, but they're victims of their circumstance or dealt a hand of cards.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, oh, these were the cards that I was dealt.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout life, and most people, right, if it was your situation and most people's situation, and we're not talking about me, but I had a similar, you know, situation, where, you know, young, you are challenging norms, right? You don't know any better.
Yeah.
Right. It's just you. You're, you know, you have a vision of yourself as being a professional athlete, being an astronaut, being whatever, you know, and then all of a sudden your eyes are woken up by that person that life happened to.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe that's not as realistic. So you go to college. So you start doing what society deems as normal.
Yeah.
But then you wonder why 90% of people are unhappy with their lives.
100%. 100%. Like I have tried both. I've tried doing my own thing. I've tried working in big corporations. I've tried, you know, the blue collar work. I've tried all of it in my lifetime up until this point. And you see it all. Like you walk into a room and, you know, I won't say any names, but like I've been with people in the past that have been in that corporate field and they're so scared. And there's so much fear inside of them to step outside and really see what the world has for them because they have no true confidence in themselves. Like it's damning because they've just been pushed down to think that this is what is because their parents did that, or they're so pushed down because this instance may have happened to them. Like their mum might be a stay-at-home mum, for example, and never work, or they never see them work, so they have an expectation to be taken care of by their significant other. They don't really have that drive to want to take care of themselves. They see the dad going out to work. That becomes the normal. You know, like it's just one of those things that certain conditioning aspects of how we are when we grow up and what we grow up around is exactly how we end up. But everybody has a choice, like as to how you want to live. Like, people who go through shit typically find a way to make that shit work for them. Sure.
Yeah. Yes and no. I think that story is more.
When I'm talking about successful people. Like
yeah.
Sorry, I should have preferenced that. Like successful people who have gone through shit are the people who have found the way to make that shit work for them.
Most successful people have been through a series of shit. But people who have been through a series of shit don't mostly become successful.
No.
And I think that's what a lot of people, like, you have to go out of your way to put yourself in a position to find a life that you believe is not mediocre, that's out of the ordinary, that is something that you're proud of.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can't say that they're proud of their life. They might be proud of certain accomplishments, even though most of these accomplishments for normal people are mediocre accomplishments.
Yep.
they don't really impact more people than that are in their either immediate family or themselves in general.
Mm-hmm.
Right. For some people, they just don't want to be like their parents.
Yeah.
So the accomplishment is like, oh, my parents never went to college and I went to college. Cool.
Yep.
But now what?
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Right. Oh, I grew up with an obese family and I came out not obese. Great.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with that?
Exactly.
Right. And I think that a lot of people base accomplishments around what most people would deem as standards. What is the standard? The standard is, well, you're not supposed to be obese.
No.
Well, you're supposed to, if you're trying to do something, and I have a different opinion on college than I once did before. But if you are looking to achieve in a job that that requires educating yourself or having a degree or whatever, like you're supposed to do that. This isn't a celebratory thing. Mm-hmm. This is just the standard.
Yeah.
The standard. And we talked about this in another podcast where, like, you know, a lot of times the doubt, the fear, the anxiety, the bad friends, the vices, all the shit is like pulling you down below the standard. Mm. And it leaves this like skewed view of what standard means.
Well, I think it's different for every single person. And I think that's pretty evident. You know, what is your standard? Where do you see yourself? How do you view standards within your life in every aspect? You know, I think, you know, just personally for myself, coming from where I came from in high school, I went into a job, dude, like straight out of high school, or even in high school, I worked at KFC. From 15 to 17, I worked
in
at
Australia.
KFC. Fuck yeah.
They got KFC down there.
Yeah, man. And it's good.
Black people like it. Like,
I mean, yeah, like, but most of the black people in Australia are Aboriginal and they prefer to drink. So, yeah, I mean, KFC is awesome. I loved the experience. I loved the work. But even when I was working at KFC, my dad's cardinal rule, if you're going to go to work at KFC and not focus on school, you will pay rent at home.
Oh.
Because he's investing, like, I never saw the underlying message for that until I was like 30 and I started doing therapy. And, you know, he obviously was investing a lot of money in my future going to private school. And I was not focused on private school because of the experiences. Like, I was letting the experiences that were happening to me at school become bigger than what the actual experience was meant for. And I just dove into working because I prefer to make money. I wanted to have my own money. And as my mum always tells me, money burns a hole in your pocket, right? So I would get the money and I would spend it. I would get the money and I would spend it. And I would just wanted things, right, to try and fulfill myself. Now, my dad was like, you need to pay rent at home. If you're not going to be focusing on your schoolwork, you need to pay rent at home. So I was like, well, fuck that. I'm just going to move out. So instead of paying rent at home, I moved out when I was 17 and lived with a guy that I became friendly with at my new job, which was in drafting, of all things.
Oh.
Yeah, because like I had this dream in my head. I was like, I'm going to be an architect, but I'm not going to focus at school. So you needed like you needed a really good grade to become an architect. And I was way off the mark. So when this thing came up to like get this job, I was like, well, I'm gonna try out for this and give it my best shot. Got the job, went into the job, and it was the typical. It was not a 9 to 5, but 7 till 3. And I sat in an office all day looking at a computer screen, hanging up drawings for the actual lead guy. And it was just shit. I was getting paid $550 a week. I would turn up for work Monday through Friday, and then I would go and get absolutely hammered on the weekends, write myself off. And during the course of the first 12 months of that job, dude, I got so unhealthy and like miserable with life that like it forced a change. So the circumstances that I was in, somehow I managed to identify all of these things and just was like, this is not who I am. Right. This is not who I want to be. So that's where fitness was actually born for me.
Really? Okay. Would you consider that your rock bottom?
I mean, I've had a fair few. Over the last 4 years, there's been probably 2 or 3 moments, but like true rock bottom for me in the early stages of my life, like that was a pretty big one, because it was either do something about your life or continue to be miserable.
Sure. But rock bottom is a point where it's like, the fear of staying the same outweighs the fear of change.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that was the moment for you that it was like, I need to at least better my body.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dude, I went through high school. In the last 2 years of high school, they have, like, your prom and your junior prom or whatever you call it over here. We have a semi-formal and a formal. The date that I took to my semi-formal was a friend who lived across the street. She ditched me at the semi-formal for another dude. And then at my formal, I tried even getting in better shape for my formal. Like, I was going to the gym a little bit in high school and went to my formal with this girl that I actually liked, and I wanted to try and be her boyfriend, and she also ditched me at my formal. And I was like, yeah, dude, I was terrible. But I also had no confidence, man. So why is a girl ever going to want to be with someone like that? It's
reasonable in hindsight that you look at it, right?
Yeah. So it's, that was a big motivator for me, as shallow as that sounds. That was a big motivator for me to want to change, because it didn't change when I left high school. I got progressively worse my first year out of high school. I was drinking alcohol, which I never drank in high school. I was drinking a lot every weekend. I was eating junk food all the time. I was progressively getting more and more unhealthy. And it was just one day, my friend who I live with said, you need to get off your ass and come to the pool and swim some laps. And I was like, bet. And then I just became obsessed with that feeling.
Yeah.
Because I felt better. And sure enough, 12 months later, I dropped 100 pounds.
So you were fat.
I wasn't fat. No. So I was like 220 at my cap, but I was only 5'6".
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I hadn't even had a growth spurt at this time. But as soon as I started losing weight, and as soon as I started taking better care of myself, my body switched on.
I see.
And I grew, and I got healthier, and I got fitter, but I actually took it way too far. I ended up at 114 pounds at 5'10". Yeah. I was skinny as fuck.
Yeah, that's skinny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, at what point did fitness become a career path?
Well, it was during that time. Like, I fell in love with how I felt. Even though I was not doing it the healthiest way, I didn't know how to do it.
What do you mean by not doing it the healthiest way?
Dude, I was running like 12 kilometers, which is like 8.5 miles every morning. Then I would get on my bike and ride probably
all cardio.
32 miles to work and back. And I would also go to the pool and swim 100 laps of an Olympic pool, all on about 600 calories. No protein, no carbs, like all veggies, pretty much just a rabbit at that point.
So this is something we can talk about, actually, because I think a lot of people that may be listening to this may not, but I think that a lot of people, and I went through over 100-pound transformation myself, and you hear a lot of people that lost their weight from excessive amounts of cardio, and they become they're attached to the cardio.
Yeah,
it's like they're intimate with their cardio. Like it's like trying to convince them that there's an easier, better way is, and I understand why they are that way, but this was something with you, right? You lost the weight. You were convinced that your deficit plus a shitload of cardio is how you're going to achieve some sort of result, but that's not the case. And what would you tell to somebody that was obsessed with their cardio or so attached to their cardio because that's how they achieve some results?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think women specifically are obsessed with cardio. Like, cardio for women, for some reason, it's just this thing that they love to do. Obviously, it makes you feel good. We all know that cardio makes you feel good, the endorphin rush, all that stuff. You get sweaty. I think fear also for women to step into other areas of exercise like weightlifting because they think they're going to get huge from looking at weights or lifting them. But what I would tell to someone who is ultimately attached to cardio is, here's the knowledge that's behind it. Cardiovascular work is for your heart and your lungs. it's not for fat loss. It actually, depending on the type of cardio you're doing, is more likely to burn higher volumes of glycogen, which is your muscle tissue's energy store. It doesn't actually burn fat unless your body's in a prime fat burning zone, which is a calorie deficit to a certain degree for an extended period of time.
Right.
And you need muscle tissue for that particular process. Now, if you're fighting against the grain, if you're burning glycogen, which is a muscle tissue's energy source, and it has no energy to work or grow or improve its capacity to burn calories, and you're taking all of that away, how is your body supposed to burn fat?
I see. Well, yeah, and that makes perfect sense. You say it a lot more eloquently than I would. I say this, especially with women. Women with the best bodies lift like dudes.
Yep, 100%. I mean, like, put it to a lot of chicks this way. Like, they'll get so scared about lifting weight when they've never lifted a weight in their life. They already look like, a wet bag of fish. But then this chick over here is like, got a bubble butt. She's lifting weights 5 times a week. She's barely doing any cardio, and she's eating more food than your current boyfriend. Like, let's be real about something here. There's something to be said about that.
Right.
Like, it doesn't just work for this person because this person's special.
Right.
It works because that's science.
Absolutely. And most women, since we're on the topic, most women need to realize, like, you're not going to get too jacked. Most dudes aren't going to get too jacked. To get big, you have to go out of your way to get big.
Do you know how much food I have had to consume? Like, I've honestly, like, right now, this is the smallest I've been in probably 10 years.
Really?
Right?
You look good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying. But at the end of the day, it's like one of those things, man. Like, when I was in bodybuilding and trying to get huge, and I was doing everything, there is not one drug on the planet that I have not put in this body, and I'm happy to talk about it. Like, I've used insulin, I've used growth hormone, I've used anabolics out the wazoo, because I don't have good genetics. I just have fucking strong work ethic, and I'll outwork anybody in the gym. But the amount of shit that I've had to put into my body just to gain 3 or 4 pounds of muscle tissue in a year, plus the 7,500 calories that I had to eat every fucking day.
Right.
Ladies, please, tell me where that's going to happen for you when you have no testosterone, you're largely densely estrogen, based, and you're not even prepared to eat more than 1,400 calories.
Correct.
Like, fuck off.
Fuck off. But I also like it when dudes are like, oh yeah, I put on 15 pounds of muscle this year. You're like, motherfucker.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. You put on fat.
Yeah. You fucking did not. Your shirt got tight. Your pants, you needed a new size, and you're just a piece of shit. So,
bro, I'm 6'5", 200 and close to 260 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I'm running everything under the sun, now I don't run trend or anything like that, but when I'm running growth and primo, deca, just anything, D-ball, any of that stuff, and I'm like eating, and I get up to 285 pounds. That's pretty much all water and fat.
Yeah. Because your body's only got a certain capacity to gain so much muscle tissue.
Right.
In a space of time. Like, the consistency value that you need to build muscle tissue, most people can't have adherence to a diet or a protein requirement that's necessary any more than 80% of the time. Unless you're like a pro in the athlete side of things, or someone who's batshit crazy like myself. Right? You need so much consistency that it's almost impossible to do anything else outside of that, right? To really gain that much muscle. And like you just said, most of the time, the calories that people are consuming to try and get big is dog shit anyway. Like, they're not eating chicken, potatoes, greens every meal.
Right.
Like, they're trying to drink protein shakes. They're trying to go to In-N-Out. They're trying to eat Chick-fil-A. They're trying to do all these things.
And even I know better, right? Yeah. But I'll even be like, oh yeah, I had a protein shake today. I'm going to add that to my actual list of foods. And it's like, no. But I do. I mean, even me, I'm educated. I pay for guidance on my body. Like I've been coached since I started coaching, right? Because I have a hard time with telling people they need to have coaches when I don't do something, right? I pay for business mentor, right? Like I believe in actually practicing what you preach. But even I can't, like, and I'm well invested in my body, but even I can't keep up with what I need to be, what my coach wants me to be at. And, and I don't do anything. Yeah. I work and I train. Like, that's it.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think anybody that has that fear of being too big, like whatever. And if you're a dude and you are delusional about what you're actually putting on, you're putting on fat and water. Don't get confused. The professional bodybuilder in the peak of his career running every fucking PED under the sun is putting on 3 to 4 pounds of muscle a year.
Exactly. And that's with a lot of help.
Yes.
That's all they do. Like, I'll put it down to you this way. When I was competing, and I'm not going to blame anything else apart from me for this, but like when I was competing, I never got to the peak of where I possibly could have gone because I was also personal training 48 hours a week, getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning, working until fucking 8 o'clock at night, being with people all day, then trying to do my own training on top of that. Professional bodybuilders don't fucking work. No. Their work is going to the gym and eating food and resting and recovering from training and eating.
So I'm friends with Breon.
Yeah.
And, love
Breon.
He's great.
Yeah.
But, talking to him, like leading up to the last Olympia he was in that, I think he placed second, right? It was it. Like his entire life was surrounded around eating, sleeping, and training. That was it. Like there was no like going anywhere. We went to a pool party once and he was like, he was
like, I look good. I'm going to take my shirt off.
Really? He didn't?
He didn't? Well, actually, you know what's funny? Because Breon, the amount of time that I've spent with Breon, around Breon and Chris Cormier, Breon's actually probably one of the more laid back guys. Like he's very humble.
He's very humble.
But if it was me, I 100% would have had my shirt off.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
If you look like him. Short, but he's a short guy, but he's just like insane.
He's a mountain. But it's funny you bring him up, dude, because he is the epitome of what bodybuilding is. And if you look at his lifestyle, look at how much muscle tissue is actually capable within a year for someone like that versus the average person who has a full-time job, who has 3 kids, who is going to kids' birthday parties on the weekend, or better still, no kids going out on the weekend drinking 55 fucking beers or, shots of tequila, thinking that they're going to get jacked. Like, it's not really going to happen regardless of your lifestyle situations.
Right.
You will gain some muscle, but not what you think.
I just don't see the point. Like, just like for normal people, like pay a coach to tell you what to eat and to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And just follow the directions. It's not that hard. Interesting.
It's an interesting mindset thing where I think a lot of people, and I've noticed it, obviously being like an in-person trainer predominantly my entire career. Over the last 8 years of living here in California, I've worked with over 250 personal trainers. I've been their coach here in Orange County. And I've also worked with just over 500 people since being here in the US in person. And I can tell you wholeheartedly that majority of those people never really understood what it fully took to get the result, because nobody wants to change their lifestyle, like what they're currently doing. Nobody really wants it bad enough to take it away long enough to really see that result. Like you get that very small percentage of people that go all in and they kill it, right? And they get great results. And then everybody else around them is like, well, I want that. But they don't want to do what they have to do to get to that point. They don't want to give up the weekend vibes. They don't want to give up the beers on Friday. They don't want to give up hanging out at A's restaurant at Oceanside or wherever the fuck that place is.
Yeah.
They don't want to give up that luxurious side of things where they believe and societal expectation of them as human beings really sets those two groups of people apart.
Yeah. God, though I had A's the other night. We went to the one in Crystal Cove.
Which one? Javier's?
A's.
Oh, you went to A's?
Yeah.
Good people watching.
Great people watching. Really, really good New York steak.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I've had
and
it.
we had the charcuterie board and everything. And I woke up with a 6-pack still. So.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, that's just exactly the point. Like, go through some short-term pain in your life.
Yeah.
Go through some short-term fucking pain in your life and then be able to enjoy your life more on the other side. Like, you were overweight once,
Yeah.
right?
I was a fat bastard, bro. 350 plus pounds.
You had heaps of cool shit, but like, what was the point where you were like, I need to change?
I had a girlfriend cheat on me. You know what's funny is that I was up and down a lot in my life. Like high school, I was in good shape. And then I got pretty fat. And then I got really skinny. And then I was like tall, I'm a tall dude. I was like a tall, skinny guy, freshman year of college, I was like 210 pounds.
Yep.
At 6'5".
Fuck.
Yeah. Good look. I was, it wasn't like I was like unhealthy.
It's like athletic.
Yeah. Athletic, and I skied and snowboarded a lot and stuff like that. So it was like a good build for a tall guy. And then after college, I just fell deep into alcoholism, things like that, and I got really fat. And then, when it was enough was a kind of a first rock bottom. But I still that was my rock bottom with how I looked at myself, right? But not my rock bottom with drugs and alcohol. I was just getting started with that. So while I was getting jacked, I was like partying. Yeah. And when I did it quick, right? I wasn't even really introduced to PEDs until a year into my transformation.
Yep.
And I was like 30, so I'm 38 now. I was like 31 or 32.
Yep.
So I didn't really ever even know about it or whatever. I remember the first shot I got with this guy. I went to his house and he showed me exactly how to put it in my thigh and you know what I mean? And I was oh yeah, this is, and I was like, yeah, I feel it right away. You know what I mean?
Superman.
This is great, you know? And then I remember I had PIP, fucking post-injection pain in my thigh for 4 days, and I was like, this is the worst. I don't ever want to do this again.
Don't you hate it? You do that and you just can't walk. And you're like,
yeah,
fucking every step. And people are like, what happened to you? Doorknob.
Yeah, right.
Fucking doorknob.
Fucking yeah, dead and then I really started to strengthen. But what's funny is I actually so I've always been really good in the gym. I always knew what to do because when I played football, I was coached in the off season by a guy named Mike Vrujink, who was Mr. Universe back in the day, back in the 80s. Okay. Yeah. He has his own show in the Midwest, things like that. And he's really well known in the bodybuilding community, right?
Yep.
And so when I was 13, 14 years old, I would after school, I would go train with him. Yeah. So I knew how to progressive overload pyramid. I knew about supersets. I knew all of that stuff. So when I got in the gym, during the initial transformation, I cut beer out, and of course I just did the liquor thing, Yeah. And still partied with party drugs and things like that. But I was pretty good with my nutrition. But I didn't know about macros. I didn't know about any of that stuff. And then I got in good shape, jacked, for my size. It's probably 200 and 255, 260 pounds, not mature muscle, you know what I mean? Just guy that found testosterone.
Yes.
And then I maintained that for the longest time.
Yep.
And then when I got sober, then it was okay, I'm going to really, and I maintained looking good, visible abs, a good physique. And then when I got sober, I got jacked.
Yeah.
Big, 295 pounds, shredded. And I was taking a lot of stuff too. And then I stopped caring about being so big. And this is recent that I was I just want to be 250 pounds.
Yep.
And
because it's hard work.
250 pounds. It is hard work. It's hard on your body. My golf swing fucking sucks when I'm that big. I just want to be mobile and feel good. Keep a good waistline. No matter what, I'm gonna be huge.
I think, because you're a fucking big lump of a human. But the hardest part for me, honestly, when I got to the biggest that I got, and that's why I stopped. Like I went from striving to be open heavyweight body, like a super heavyweight bodybuilder. That's what I wanted to be. I was 255, 260 at my heaviest with abs. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I felt so sorry for my first wife because she would have to tie my shoelaces for me because I couldn't breathe and I couldn't stay down there long enough to tie my shoelaces because it was so much stress on my body. There was points where in the middle of the night, like the sleep apnea, like choking on my own fucking tongue, bro, like getting woken up by her being like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like your snoring is so bad.
Do you wear a CPAP?
I bought one and I had to start using it, but then I was like, I couldn't sleep with it on. So I was like, this just isn't for me. I'm not cut out for this. So I dropped back down to try and compete in classic. And then that was even too much at that point too, like getting, to over 30, 35.
Right.
I was like, this is too much for my body. Like, I don't want to take all this shit, and then drop right back down to men's physique and had some fun there for a year. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I don't need any of this shit because what am I trying to prove? Like, what am I really who am I trying to prove this to? Like, I've done everything that I wanted to do. I've competed in every division. I've won a show in every division that I've been in. I won Masters National for my class. Like, I have accomplished more than what my first coach told me I would ever achieve. And I'm happy with this. So like, then it was just like, okay, let's just be healthy.
Right.
So that's the message now to people.
Right.
Right. Like you don't got to be all that. All that is just such a small part of something of a really big picture, in my opinion.
And it's funny because me and Scotty talk quite a bit about this because he was pro, and in physique.
Yep.
But a lot of guys are so caught up in being on stage and getting their pro card and stuff like that, and we understand that it is a game of genetic lottery.
Yep.
Like for one, and for two, it's like it's such a broke industry.
Well, how much money can you really make unless you're top 10 in the world in any division?
Right.
Like from the actual sport.
But what people don't realize is that the fitness industry, like your body is your business card as much as so you have an opportunity, like what you said and what you're doing is, realizing like, okay, bodybuilding probably isn't the way I'm going to support a family and things like that the rest of my life. So what do? Well, I can turn this, right? This is something I'm good at, something that I'm passionate about, something that I enjoy, and I can turn this into a business, right? And help other guys, not necessarily being a prep coach, because I don't think that's the route you want to go at all. And it's not the route to go. But
I've already done it, dude. I did it for the first 5 years I was here. I've prepped multiple IFBB pros. I've turned people pro. I've worked in that side of things, and it is rewarding if you are still in it mentally. But as soon as my mental capacity dropped out for the love of what it actually was, because I finally switched on to how selfish and self-involved that sport actually is and can be, because it destroyed 2 marriages for me. Absolutely fucking destroyed 2 marriages. Like, because I'm such an obsessive person.
Right.
In that aspect.
You have to be. To be a successful bodybuilder.
Yep.
And I've heard that a lot of times. And I know, like, too, it's rare, but once in a while I've met people, like, when they're in prep, that they were tolerable in the first place. That either they were tolerable to the point where they were, like, not so self-obsessed, or they were just not fucking boring.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but, like, to shut yourself, like, I get it. Listen, if you're an athlete and you're a bodybuilder and you want to achieve something great with your body and stand on stage and be the next greatest thing, fantastic, good for you. But do it on your own. This is when everybody else is suffering around you because, whatever, you can't enjoy a birthday, or whatever. Like, it's just not the way to live. And for most people, they don't have the initial discipline to actually do it. And then on top of that, they have too many other people relying on them to actually do it.
Yeah.
Like, other people are suffering because of what they are. Just hang it up and go into online coaching.
Yeah, for real. I mean, dude, you don't understand, like, well, you do understand, but like a lot of people don't understand what it's, what it's really like to be in that because they've never done it. And I think for me personally, like being an in-person coach, I always thought that I could do it all. And every time I prepped while I had in-person clients, my business suffered. Every time I had clients wanting to compete and I was trying to compete at the same time, my results suffered. My first wife told me, you need to just be a coach. You're a fucking awesome coach and you're a shit athlete because you can't do one or the other. You're trying to do both. You're never going to be the best athlete you can be because you can't put enough emphasis and effort into it. And you're obsessed with helping people achieve their goals. So you won't let that go either. She's like, you need to pick one or the other. She's like, and I hate to break it to you, but your genetics are shit. You're probably never going to be fucking good pro. So why don't you just focus on being the coach?
And why'd you divorce this woman?
Fucking, you tell me.
I'm kidding.
No, honestly, dude, like there's a lot to that because she was so right. She was so right. And it took me a really long time to come to terms with that and let my ego go and drop it.
Yeah. That's another topic for another time. But
Yeah.
I love it when a significant other can call their person on their shit. Like it's the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's great when I look at it now. It wasn't at the time.
No, it sucked.
Like, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. But no,
Don't fucking tell me what to do. No, like I was 100% like, I can do everything. Watch me. But yeah, you're right, dude, because that's a real person right there.
Support and reality checks, they go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I don't want to get too far into that because we don't have a ton of time left.
But I will tell you, man, like when it comes to it, grand scheme reality of things, full circle, I've had to look back at where I first started. Why did I get into the fitness industry? I got into the fitness industry because I loved how I changed my life for the better. And I wanted to help other people do that. That is legitimately why I got into the fitness industry. Because I changed myself from being an absolute POS, piece of shit, to being someone who really valued health and really valued their life and valued themselves. Got a little bit lost along the way here for a minute, but it's come back full circle to that now. And through all of these experiences that I've had, I think it's been so much more impactful now for me to be able to then help larger volumes of people with it. And the only way to do that is in the online space.
Yeah.
So
you're an absolute killer, bro.
Working on it.
This was fun, man.
Absolutely, dude.
If you guys like what you heard, make sure that you click subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. We're going to put all Kai's information down below so you can shoot him a follow on Instagram and the rest of it. I appreciate you coming out. We're going to have you out here more often. I mean, you're a local, bro.
Dude, I'm right around the corner.
Let's go.
Let's do it, man. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. It was fun.
Yes, sir. Whew.